Anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Resurfaced clip falsely links air fresheners to being gay, sparking backlash as experts debunk harmful, baseless anti-LGBTQ misinformation online.
Boston University pauses pride flag removal policy after protests, apologizing to LGBTQ community amid concerns over selective expression and campus belonging.
Archival photos show anti-trans Republicans in drag fueling backlash and hypocrisy claims as they run against the LGBTQ ally Jon Ossoff in Georgia's high-stakes May 19th primary election.
Bravo's new Rhode Island Housewives offer an easy entry point for overwhelmed viewers, featuring a fresh cast, fast-moving drama, and compelling storylines in the franchise's smallest yet must-worthy setting.
A TV judge dismissed a father's lawsuit against his gay son over conversion therapy costs, condemning the practice as cruel and affirming that the son deserves safety, dignity, and love. All this important LGBTQ+ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified that Queer News Tonight's YouTube channel is the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 12 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in this LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, April 9th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our nonprofit community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories. We represent South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine's events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voices as anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you very much for having me, Rex. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. We're getting close to spring, or has spring sprung already?
As someone originally from New England, we're in spring from like October to May here.
Well, welcome to the show, Alex. Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. He's also a board member of the West Side Association. Larry, the neighborhood spring social will be held at Mickel Park on April 19th. Tell me, what's happening out?
Absolutely, Rex. Well, our West Side Association invites friends, residents, and neighbors to the neighborhood spring social on Sunday, April 19th from 5 to 7 at Mickel Park, rain or shine. This lively community gathering offers a chance to connect over delicious bites from Caruso's Catering on the Drive and desserts by Over Easy Cafe, with beverages served by one and only Hunter's Nightclub, open to members and non-members alike. The event encourages community bonding in a relaxed outdoor setting. With more details, visit wawm.org/spring-social. And we really hope to see a lot of folks there. It's not just about living on the West Side. It's about creating community. We've been proud. I've been on the board now for about 3 years, seeing that there's also a lot of associate members, including some of our local politicians and business owners. So we really want to have people join us. It's a beautiful park. If you're not familiar with it, it's between Andrews Avenue and Powerline Road in Wilton Manors. And there will be, it's very walkable if you live in the area, but it's a beautiful park. We're very proud to have such great sponsors this year, and it should be a fun event. So I hope to see you all there.
No, I love the fact that you guys are putting on free events with free parking, once a month. So it's a really, and it's not tied to anything but community, which is really great. Just get out of the house, meet some new people, see some old friends, and just have a good time for a couple of hours.
And it's very reasonable, to be able to go to an event like this. The details, you can pay online electronically, or you can pay the suggested donation at the door. So we welcome people, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Rain or shine also.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Well, in Florida, that's very important.
Yeah.
So Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Neighborhood Spring Social on April 19th. Let's welcome anchor Dr. Bobby Huen. A world traveler and well-versed in global affairs, Bobby provides an international perspective on current events. A PhD in conflict resolution, Bobby is a certified civil and family mediator and the founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Welcome to the show, Bobby.
Hi, Rex. How are you?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
And fantastic. Just chugging along with, resolving other people's problems. And hopefully, with less, everyone walk away with a decent outcome.
Absolutely. Well, everybody has a problem.
Plug some more stuff for us, Bobby. You do social media, you do all sorts of cool conflict resolution. Do you do divorces?
Yes, I do divorces or
Come on,
separation.
people, you need to get a divorce.
Or separation. You don't need to. You don't need to be married to come to me. I can just help you separate. Well, consciously uncouple, as Gwyneth Paltrow would put it.
And you even help nonprofits that are going through different disputes, right?
I do workplace disputes, set up grievance reporting procedures, and making sure that everyone in small and medium-sized organization where not necessarily they don't have a giant HR, that I can write procedures for them to reflect the values of the organization.
Well, if you have a group problem, go see Bobby.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Rex Rogosch. Rex is a visionary designer with over 30 years of experience in product design, interior design, and architecture. He performed in the drag community as International Lords and is the current reigning Mr. Scandals 2026. Ooh. Rex is the president and co-founder of Lentera, a 501c3 organization dedicated to advancing mental health awareness through inclusive, community-driven events. Rex, Coming to our prom brings Speakeasy Glam to South Florida on May 2nd. So tell me, what's happening?
Absolutely, Alex. Step into a night of style, self-expression, and purpose at Come As You Are Prom 2026, the Speakeasy era, hosted by Lentera on May 2nd from 7 to 11 p.m. This immersive, inclusive prom invites guests to show up as exactly as they are while enjoying a glamorous speakeasy-themed evening filled with live entertainment, dancing, and the crowning of prom royalty. Open to all over 21, the event creates a safe, affirming space to celebrate identity and community. Proceeds support Lentera's mental health initiatives through its Open Arms and Open Heart mission. More details at lenterafl.org/events. So I can't believe it's right around the corner. We're less than a month away. And, you know, this prom was built out of a friend of me talking, and she wanted to have a space where people could either relive a moment that they loved, redo a moment that they hated, or just have the moment all together, because there's so many people that don't get a chance to go to prom. And I said, well, let's do it. And we're now in our third year, and this year's the Speakeasy. So we're not really mentioning where it is, but I will say, look for the big gray box. I'll give you a hint of where it's at. But all the details are available on our website, and once you buy your tickets, the address will reveal itself. But, you know, we're looking forward to, bringing everybody in to just have a couple of hours of fun and just, be yourself. Be yourself.
No, your proms are always amazing. This particular theme sounds so fun. I love 1920s themes, and I love the whole speakeasy concept, mostly just due to my near obsession with cocktails, perhaps, and just overall, it's always good, and it's always going to a good cause. Come on, people, open up your wallets and go hang out with Rex, okay?
I'm excited to hear the details on this, and I'm intrigued, so I'm going to definitely try to make it. It sounds exciting.
We can't wait to see everybody there. I'll be there at the velvet rope letting you in if you know the password.
Ooh, well, with that, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Come As You Are prom on May 2nd.
I'm Rex Rogosch, and let's queer up gay culture. Resurfaced podcast clip falsely claims car air fresheners, quote, turn you gay, end quote, draws online backlash. A Resurfaced podcast clip is drawing widespread attention online after a conservative commentator made false claims linking air fresheners to sexual orientation. The clip, originally recorded in July of 2025, featured Alex Clark, described as a wellness activist, speaking on the Digital Social Hour podcast hosted by Sean Kelly. In the segment, Clark claims, quote, your car air freshener is turning you gay. It is depleting you of your testosterone. It is wrecking your hormones, end quote. Clark, who is not known to have formal expertise in medical or biology, then shares confronting an Uber driver about air fresheners in his car. She said, quote, so I tell the Uber driver, you realize that those are turning you gay. He immediately grabs the pack of trees and then he puts them in the trash and goes, thank you for telling me that. That's all it takes. I just saved that man's balls, end quote. The clip recently gained renewed traction after being shared by comedian Luke Hamnet. In response, Hamnet posted a satirical video. Watch this.
Car air freshener is turning you gay. It is wrecking your hormones.
I am shocked. I can't believe all this time I've been gay because of this. Alright, darling, get your fucking tits out.
In reality, there is no scientific evidence supporting claims that fragrances impact testosterone levels or influence sexual orientation. The Resurfaced moment has sparked criticism online, with many pointing to the spread of misinformation and harmful stereotypes. I mean, first and foremost, your testosterone levels have nothing to do with your sexual orientation. People. So let's get that straight right there. So the fact that she's going, even if it was affecting your testosterone levels, it doesn't make you gay. It just makes you infertile or sluggish.
I don't think there's anything to get straight in this story.
There's
but in all seriousness, there's this bizarre connection between the right-wing grift and quote unquote wellness and health. People do another bad Alex. So this is a good Alex, but that's a bad Alex, and another bad Alex is Alex Jones, who he's the one that said the chemicals in the water were making the frogs queer. He tries to sell vitamins all the time. This lady's also pushing health. Well, whenever you see someone online trying to tell you about wellness and sexual orientation, just just swipe. Swipe away.
That's because there's an interconnectedness between the wellness industry, the fitness, especially male fitness industry, and the right-wing pipeline. The right-wing rhetoric of looking good, looks maxing, the clavicular, all that bullshit is connected to what makes a man manly, and their idea of hypermasculinity is very reminiscent of a certain country in Europe in the 1930s when they obsess about fitnesses and how pretty and blonde their people are. Remember that country?
Sicily?
Germany.
There are several documentaries right now going about the
Louis Theroux and the manosphere.
Manosphere, yeah.
And the whole idea that somehow that you can turn yourself more manly, and also. And testosterone is one of those things. They have constantly called liberals or even left-leaning people soy boys because they have this steadfast belief that somehow eating soy turns people would produce female hormones, estrogen, into your body and therefore make you less manly and therefore gay. And that's why the word soy boy is a right-wing insult.
I hear you. The only thing I just want to push back at, I think you're giving them too much philosophical credit. Things like pills and vitamins are just easy to sell online. And they're grifter. These are whenever you're dealing with these types, whether they're telling you the frogs are making you queer, or something's making the frogs queer, or the air fresheners are making us queer, and they're trying to sell you junk, they're just grifters, guys.
No, absolutely, and let's be clear. I mean, you can walk down the streets of Wilton Manors anytime, day or night, and see hyper masculine gay men. Again, let's not get this twisted. Masculinity and sexual preference are two totally different things, and these people who are going, you need to be more masculine, and somehow if you're less masculine, you are gay, are two totally different things.
And the gay community has had grifters too. Do you all remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, when we would all buy like pheromones to spray instead of cologne? That was another form of grift.
They still
sell it.
They still sell that.
God.
They still
Don't tell me these things, Rex.
They do still sell that.
I'm Bobby Huen, and let's queer up the USA view. Boston University pauses pride flag removals after backlash. President apologizes. Boston University has paused enforcement of a policy that led to the removal of pride flags from campus offices. The university stepped back after weeks of protest and faculty concerns about free expression. In a letter to the campus community, President Melissa Gillum acknowledged the impact of the policy and issued an apology. Quote, "Our university and our policies exist within a larger social context, one that is dynamic and complex. I have heard how difficult and painful that has been. I'm deeply sorry." End quote. Gillum describes the move as a pause, not a reversal. The controversy began in March when faculty ordered pride flags being repeatedly removed under the, quote, time, space, and manners, end quote, signage rules. Critics argue that enforcement has not been neutral, with some warning that it is selectively targeting expression. Protests spread across campus, and a petition gathered more than 2,000 signatures. The university maintains the policy is content neutral, but for many faculty, the debate over expression and belonging remains unresolved. Now, here it is. I got 2 degrees from Boston University. International Relations Bachelor's, and then another one in International Relations and Communications and Master's. So I spent quite a few years there, and I'm just going to address this through my personal view, and I'll say this is an insincere apology, President Gillum. I believe that you have put together an apology that's more like, I'm sorry you're offended, than it's a genuine apology that makes for anything. First of all, I grew up during the John Suber era. That means I'm old, by the way. For those who don't remember, because, BU is a university, so most of us old ones are gone now. John Suber was a tyrant of an administrator in Boston University back in the 70s all the way into the 2000s, and he explicitly refused to add LGBTQ people under anti-discrimination policy, and he disbanded the Gay Straight Alliance in 2002 from the high school that BU also runs, also known as BU Academy. And he has also literally slandered LGBTQ community, saying that we recruit people to become LGBTQ, which is a slander even in the standard of the early 2000s, not mentioned today. So for me, this is a repeat. I can see history repeating. You're tearing out pride flags. When is the time and place and season pride flags are supposed to be? And we don't just put our pride flags up in June, just during Pride Month. Pride is eternal. Pride is year-round. Pride is pride. There's no taking down pride flags. When you take down pride flags, that means you want to erase the representation of LGBTQ community. How dare you, President Gillum? And go ahead, sorry.
You bring up another important point, like when the former student, when is class out for the spring, for the summer? It's not in June, it's in early May, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So technically you wouldn't even,
kids wouldn't even get to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know that universities sometimes write policy that makes no sense. Trust me. But on the other hand, this is a deliberate, and even when you consider that quote unquote content neutral. So what other flags are being taken down? I'm guessing certain countries' flags don't take down, but certain territories' flags get taken down.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, every, at least colleges I went to, every club had a flag of some sort. So, my first question was going to be, is there a gay straight alliance of some sort on the campus at the moment?
Yeah,
If so,
they always do.
So that flag could be adopted as their flag. So technically, the college would have to allow it to be there. And I would say, well, let's start having all the other clubs put pride flags, put a chess symbol in the center, put a science, symbol, because that will show A, solidarity, but B, also, I love finding loopholes, and that would be a loophole because they couldn't take it down, because if that's your official flag to the club, then if you take my flag down, you have to take everybody's down, including sororities and fraternities.
Well, BU doesn't really have a large Greek culture. In fact, most of Greek organizations are relegated off campus unless you are part of unless you're staying in a dorm. But BU is very proud of their hockey. That's pretty much it. But
there's other clubs and organizations.
Yeah, there are a lot of other clubs and organizations. Yep. But the point is, this is not removal from the dorms. This is not removal from student housing. This is removal from just campus offices. Imagine the student life office or a professor's office. That's why faculty and staff are upset.
But that's what I'm saying. If a faculty member, because every club has to have a faculty member, if that faculty member is part of that organization and they adopt a pride or pride adjacent flag for that organization, then they can't remove it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I know some people are going to say, Alex, are you wearing your Northeastern colors today because you just want to get in a rib at them and say, I'd hate to be you? No, I would never do such a cheap thing on such an important subject. But in all seriousness, the bigger issue is trying to find loopholes. This is not this isn't Liberty University. This isn't some little backwater. This is Boston. As a former member of the Massachusetts Commission on Gay and Lesbian Youth, who was their higher education chair, what this school is doing is absolutely atrocious. But it's also unfortunate because when you allow private schools to exist and give them all these special accommodations that we allow these private universities to have, they can do all sorts of stupid things like this. The fact that Massachusetts has allowed this to happen, I am very upset with. Of course, the university's being terrible. University's been terrible the last 50 years. They care only about money and trying to get as many applicants in to reject so they can say they have only a tiny acceptance rate. It's terrible to see. I think the students deserve better. I think Boston deserves better. I think that, we as an LGBTQ community should also be aware that these schools don't care about us. This story reminds me of that when they're sometimes this is a story where they want to erase us clearly. Well, yes. But there's also times when they try to co-op us. I remember NYU, they took the Palisades Club, they bulldozed it, they put up a parking lot like the song, and they renamed the parking lot the Palisades to co-op the name. This stuff is just so common with these so-called elite higher education universities. It's just
well, you kind of wonder too. Maybe some of the more conservative donors are having an influence that's not surfacing yet. And,
well, that's another thing. Or was this in some way to capitulate to Trump? Maybe this is actually, maybe we shouldn't call it BU, but the Trump University satellite campus.
I'm like, that.
Hey, that devalues my degree to 99.99%.
Well, it would devalue it to nothing because the Trump University is now gone and sued.
Yeah.
So.
I consider Columbia to be the new Trump University, dear.
Well, we hope that things work out at BU and students keep fighting back.
I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up politics. Unearthed yearbook photos show anti-trans Georgia Republicans dressed in drag as teens. According to reporting by The Advocate, U.S. Representatives Buddy Carter and Mike Collins, both outspoken critics of transgender rights, appear in archival yearbooks from the 1970s and 80s wearing dresses and wigs. The images were verified using names, schools, graduation details. The revelations come as Carter and Collins compete in a Republican primary to challenge Democratic Senator John Ossoff, who's an LGBTQ plus ally. The voting will take place on May 19th. Critics say the images highlight the contradiction between the lawmakers' past behavior and their current political positions. Both have supported legislation restricting transgender rights, including measures targeting gender-affirming care and transgender participation in sports. In response to these photos, Collins' communications director said the photo reflected, quote, lighthearted humor, end quote, while Carter's office declined to confirm or deny the images. As one GLAAD spokesperson noted in The Advocate, quote, it's a no-brainer that anyone who participates in this part of the LGBTQ culture should support basic protections for LGBTQ people, Anything less is hypocrisy, end quote. Well, there's a lot to be said about that. You know, we look going back, George Santos, we look at the famous or infamous video with Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump wooing her. I mean, you know,
And-
there's many more.
And the representative in the wheelchair who was caught wearing women's lingerie, medicine, whatever his name is.
Look, as someone who grew up in the South in the 90s, yes, even into the 90s, anybody who was a person of sports in that era did what we called powder puff football. And where all the football players, basketball players, baseball players, and the like dressed in cheerleader outfits, and the girls dressed in football outfits and played football. So the fact is, I am sure you can find pictures of pretty much anybody who is from the South in some sort of female regalia. Unfortunately, these people, while they are doing it, the story says, participating in the LGBT culture, they're not doing it that way. They're doing it in tongue-in-cheek fun by making fun of women. Because if you've ever been to one of those events, which I had been to several, because again, I grew up in the South, they are not out there being ladylike. They are out there making a fool of themselves. So even their actions back then were not anything to be, respectful of the women. They were making fun of them. Because those same people were making fun of me for being gay, even though I wasn't out.
No, Rex, I appreciate you noticing how the GLAAD called it like LGBTQ culture. And I'm like, GLAAD, sometimes less is better. Sometimes less is better. Like, one, I agree on the sense of like kids, especially high school kids, they dress up and play costume, and that's not the same thing. But at the same time, if you want to say like, well, would you be violating these new drag ban rules? That's fair, because the way they're written is so arbitrarily like, well, if you wear a couple items of the other gender, we're talking about like pre-Stonewall level crazy. Yeah. Like, that's fair to like hit them on that, but to claim it's the LGBTQ culture, like it's just kids being either fun or offensive depending on how they were doing. But like gender switching and like playing dress up, I think is a good, healthy thing. And I wish that maybe GLAAD had led more on that and said, you allowed this for yourself, but you're not going to allow it for the next generation. And that, I think, would have been a stronger narrative.
But the problem is that requires nuance. And
you think GLAAD is incapable of nuance?
No, I don't think. I think GLAAD is.
I mean, I might be saying that.
I think GLAAD is capable of nuance, but the general consumer of the media are not. They all see just a boys in dresses, caught in picture, equals hypocrisy. That's easy to sell. That's much harder to sell. It's like, oh, you have done it before, but now you're disrespecting the LGBTQ culture by doing so and so and so.
I not to take up the whole conversation, but like, I disagree on the public can't handle nuances. If the public can handle making 1-hour thought pieces on YouTube about the whole complex narrative of Game of Thrones or the Star Wars or whatever it is, they can handle the basic nuance of boys in dresses versus what's happening to trans people and drag queens.
And well, let's talk about drag queens. I mean, and trans people and how they are. I mean, these people. I mean, I always say, I think it would be true to say that I'll rather have 10 straight allies than one anti-gay gay man who's in the closet, because they always, these people who participate in the culture, and I'm not talking about these two, I'm talking about in general, LGBTQ people who participate in the culture and yet actively advocate against us in public while doing crap in private, like certain Carolina senator, are particularly harmful to us because of the not just rank hypocrisy on their part, but they know what the weaknesses are, and they're trying to stick it to us.
You know what? One last note on all this. There's one other thing we can also know. Looking at the polls, neither of these two are going to be a U.S. senator.
Right, and I'd like to reiterate: just because you find a picture of somebody who dressed up in an outfit when they were young doesn't mean that at that time they were an ally. It doesn't mean at the time that they weren't making fun of people. It doesn't mean at the time that they weren't homophobic or throwing kids into trash cans because they thought they were gay. It literally just means that they were dressing up, thought they were funny, thought they were cute, and got caught on camera. So let's, not make the blanket statement. Well, you dressed up as a woman in drag before. Why are you doing this to LGBTQ people? It's because they probably were that way
already
all along. People just don't switch in the middle of a midlife crisis to become homophobic all of a sudden.
So, can I say one last thing? I just want to give kudos to The Advocate for doing the investigative research to find this stuff. And I also thought it was really shady that they called high school photos archival footage. That was so shady. I love you, Advocate. Love it.
Making me feel old, for sure.
Ancient.
Ancient.
I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up entertainment. Real Housewives Rhode Island offers easy entry into iconic Bravo franchise with fresh drama. A new addition to Bravo's long-running reality universe may be the easiest entry point yet for new viewers. For years, fans of The Real Housewives have faced a common hurdle, the sheer volume of content. Since its 2006 debut in Orange County, the franchise has expanded to 11 additional cities, producing a total of 112 seasons. Several series include New York City, Atlanta, New Jersey, Beverly Hills, Potomac, and Salt Lake City. And they remain in production now. The Real Housewives of Rhode Island is positioning itself as a fresh starting point. Premiering this month, the show is set in the smallest U.S. state and introduces a new cast. Alicia Carmody, Rosie DeMar, Ashley Iconenti, Liz McCaw, Rula Nima Ponterelli, Casey Swanson, and Joe Ellen Tabiri. Early episodes suggest strong, long-standing relationships among the cast. Storylines have already unfolded rapidly. Swanson addressed accusations of polygamy, clarifying she was dating 2 men rather than married to multiple partners. Carmody revealed she had once run someone over with her car, as one does. Meanwhile, Ponterelli faced allegations about her husband's alleged mistress. With only a few episodes released, the series is already drawing attention. The Real Housewives of Rhode Island airs Sundays on Bravo in the United States. Well, I just want to welcome you all to the New England edition of Queer News Tonight. My goodness. And as a former Rhode Islander who did cover queer media with Options Magazine in Providence, this is fun to see. I talked to a couple Rhode Islanders today. I actually got called by a phone call from Representative David Morales. He's running for mayor of Providence, and I forgot to ask him his opinion. So then I asked a friend of mine, I texted him, Mr. Lazzarini. I'm not going to say his first name because he'll get all mad. I was like, what are your thoughts on this show? And he said, sorry, don't have capacity. So that's all I have from Rhode Islanders on what they think of this show. But I can tell you that I'm sure they all know each other. 50% chance they're all cousins.
Yeah, I mean, I got burnt out on Real Housewives a long time ago. They basically are what I put on TV when I'm doing other things to make sure that my life isn't as dramatic as I think it is. Because I swear that they can make a sand grain into a salacious news story for 2 to 3 episodes. Reality TV is not reality, so I just, have fun, girls. Have your moment.
I mean, I miss the days when there's the old housewife episode when people literally flipped tables and they were going crazy. They actually have fights and
Atlanta still does.
Yeah, I was talking about I was talking about Jersey. I was talking about Jersey or and of course, and I'm surprised that Miami didn't make the cut of a continuing series because if there's anything more dramatic, it's a bunch of rich Miami women who are trying to claw each other's eyes out for the last spot in the club or something.
The problem with Miami is all of their stories are already out, so there's nothing to be surprised about, and they don't care that they're out, so it doesn't matter.
What I'll be interested to see with the Real Housewives of Rhode Island is if they're going to try and interact with other reality TV stars from Rhode Island, because that what is it called? What was that New Jersey TV show, reality show with us?
Oh, the
Nookie and the rest
Jersey
of them.
Shore.
Oh, Jersey
Shore.
A bunch of them are actually Rhode Islanders.
Yeah.
So I would love to see random cameos.
Yeah, but I think the demographic are different. I mean, plus, one, they're not looking for that kind of party women. They're looking for a different kind.
Honey, we're talking about Rhode Island. Here, come on.
But there's this aura of like wealth and privilege that's not necessarily ring true.
That's not really a Rhode Island thing. Like Newport, like all the mansions are mostly like touristy, hotel-y
They are
things
now, yeah.
and like Providence is. I love Providence, but like Providence is not known as like where the elite rich live or anything like that. It's a more middle class.
Well, we'll see if the ladies actually make a Providence, Rhode Island queer. Vacation. Let's go play with the gays.
In Providence, if you throw a rock, you'll hit one of our people. That's how queer Providence.
I was going to say, or else you take a ferry to P-Town.
Or you go to P-Town, yeah, exactly. That will make it very queer, and all the gay boys will then watch. I'm Rex Rogosch, and let's queer up the USA View. TV judge blasts father suing gay son over conversion therapy, dismisses case in viral ruling. A television courtroom moment is drawing widespread attention after Judge Ebony K. Williams sharply rebuked a father who sued his gay son over conversion therapy costs. The case centers on Gregory Talbert of Memphis, who spent $6,000 to send his 18-year-old son, Mickel Talbert, to conversion therapy after discovering him kissing a friend. Mickel later fled the program, citing abusive conditions, and stayed with his best friend. Gregory then filed a lawsuit seeking repayment, claiming his son failed to fulfill a promise to complete the program. Mickel described the conversion therapy experience saying, quote, "They said that I was cursed and said that I was going to hell and called all of us their monsters, that we were unworthy and that we needed the program to fix ourselves," end quote. After hearing his testimony, Williams offered a message of affirmation before dismissing the case entirely, calling the father's actions, quote, "unacceptable," end quote, and, quote, "cruel." She ruled in favor of Mickel, stating he deserved a home where he was safe and loved.
I really, Mickel, I need to get close to you right now because I need you to understand. If you're willing, please give me your hands. Young man, you are not cursed. You are as loved and as worthy, Mickel, as your father, your mother, and everyone else who gets the privilege to reside on this earth, young man. And I don't care what your daddy says. I don't care what this Matthew guy says. I don't care what some stupid conversion therapy says, which is nothing but a bunch of hoopla and a scam and a money grab for young, vulnerable men like yourself. I see you. You are valuable. And Mickel, you are perfect. You are perfect in the eyes of God. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Williams, for those words that should not actually have to be said, unfortunately, but in these days and times, they need to be said more often from people like yourself. So first, I want to say thank you. Secondly, that father, unfortunately, got paid to be on this TV show, so he got money for being an asshole.
And I wanted to add that I just looked up the story. Thank you, LGBTQ Nation. The son actually offered to go because he thought that his father would not love him unless he does. This is an oppressive household from the jump. This is not a new thing. This is a systemic abuse. This is probably watching his father yelling gay slurs at TV all day long and things, or basically they go to a really oppressive church and hear their pastor talking about how he is going to hell, the poor kid. And now, just because the case is dismissed doesn't mean that he has a safe place to go to.
That's true.
His parents could still easily, and especially since he is aged out, he's no longer. I do not believe that he is a child. He is over 18.
He's 18, correct.
So therefore, Child Protective Services will not be able to take this case, and now he's basically on his own, having to try to figure out where he is. And I hope that he starts something like a social media account, or tell your story. Yeah. Tell your story of your life experience. Tell your story of abuse. We are not here to judge. We're here to help. And by telling your stories and sharing it, you can reach more people who are currently under the circumstances. And I just want to add that apparently the family involved here, the father and son, are based out of Kansas, where there's no protection from conversion therapy. And now, thanks to the Supreme Court, a lot of the conversion therapy ban are in flux.
Well, yes. one shouldn't have to share their story if they're not comfortable to, especially if it's to just get themselves financially able to not be homeless. Like, no one should have to be homeless, and that's an important point. But, like, yeah, you're also dealing with, like, yeah, the U.S. Supreme Court, 8 of them, 8-1. So, like, remember, some of those so-called liberals aren't that liberal. But on this, like, I guess my first reaction is, what's the judge's name? Judge Williams?
Judge Williams. Judge
Williams. I just see this, and I'm like, you go, girl. You're putting up with some white nonsense today. My God, what sort of man tries to put a child in conversion therapy in 2026? It is child abuse. Let's just all be very clear. I don't care what the Supreme Court says. It's child abuse to tell a kid you think they're possessed by a demon, for Pete's sake. Like, that's insane. That is absolutely insane to say such things. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And good for her for being so nice to him and trying to help him with all that stuff. But, like, my God, white nonsense is the only reaction I have with that father.
This kind of homophobia transcends race, so I'm not going to call it a race. There are plenty of children. There are plenty of youth of color of all types of races who got kicked out of their home.
But some upper middle class white man getting upset that his son should pay for the conversion therapy.
Oh, that's just
very
petty.
fishy white.
No, that's
nonsense.
just petty. Most parents would just write it off as a loss. This one just basically decided to take him to court. Of course, we don't know how he get there because we have no idea what a casting process is. So I often see these reality show based on judgments with a grain of salt. By the way, Judge Williams, although very kind, is not actually judge. She is just like she's an attorney, but she is cast to be the judge. And this is apparently framed as a private arbitration. When you enter this production, because it's a commercial production, you're basically getting paid to show up with your case and have an arbitrator, in this case Judge Williams, to basically say that which side is right and which side is wrong.
If you could pivot into like a pitch about your arbitration work, that'd be hilarious.
I do arbitration work. I mean, I'm not photogenic enough to be a judge, but hey, if you...
I think you're better off with the Supreme Court at this point, Bobby, don't you guys?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, he is probably going to be, out of his house. Fortunately, it sounds like he does have at least one friend that he's been able to stay with, so he does have some sort of network. There are organizations out there, to help. I know that in other cities that I've lived in, we had LGBTQ youth centers. We helped place people who became homeless. There are special housing. I don't know the circumstances in every state and every city, but I hope that he does find the help that he's going to need to survive. And I am sorry that he's had to go through that. Nobody should ever have to go through that. Nobody, and I mean nobody, should ever have to feel unloved or unworthy, gay or straight. Honestly,
yes,
especially as a child. And we are saying that he's 18, that he's legal age, but he's still a child.
Rex, one thing that you bring up, there are some services out there, and that's wonderful. But the main reason why, if an 18-year-old gets kicked out by their parents for being queer, and they could become homeless, is because we are the nation do not provide basic supports for people. When you hear people say they're socially liberal and fiscally conservative, and someone like me says that's effed up, it's because a kid in this situation, what's he going to do? The government's not going to help him. So what happened? Hopefully a nonprofit will help them. Nonprofits, they don't have that much money right now.
I mean, the statistics show that I think it's 55% of the homeless population is LGBT youth.
Really?
It is
queer youth make up a huge part of the
largest number. I could be wrong. Fact check me, but the last time I saw that, they are the largest. So,
I remember, if Trevor Project is correct, I believe that is true.
It was 55%. So that my heart goes out to him. I hope that he does well, and what you said, he doesn't have to share a story, but I hope that he does, because he's not the only one out there that unfortunately is dealing with this, and safety in numbers.
Yes.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up Black community. Hotspots magazine highlights Almost Us, serving Black queer romance with heart. Our Hotspots Happening Out LGBTQ Lifestyles magazine, Hotspots, is back with a feature on Almost Us, a new romantic comedy celebrating Black queer love, identity, and vulnerability. Premiering April 17th on Watch Vim, the film follows a complex romance shaped by passion and personal truth. Blending humor and heart, the film explores love, risk, and community. This feature story and many more are included in your free copy of the upcoming issues of Hotspots magazine, which is already on stands today. I mean, this is great. So the platform that it's on is a Black-owned, LGBTQ-centric streaming platform, which is great. I honestly didn't know it was out there, and I looked it up today, and there's a lot of great content on there. And it really does, give a new perspective. So I encourage everybody to go on there, regardless of your race or your identity, because you can start getting true perspectives from the eyes of the people that are living it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, it's a no-brainer. Support Black love, y'all. Go see what's going on. And it's always wonderful to see a Hotspots magazine. I wish there was a half-naked man on it, but, I understand once in a while they gotta have some diversity.
I mean, a man riding a horse, that's fine.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up entertainment. Heated Rivalry Season 2 update teases delays, new characters, and uncertain book adaptation plans. Heated Rivalry showrunner Jacob Tierney is teasing an update on Season 2, one that may feel like both good and bad news for fans. The hit queer hockey romance series centers on Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov was renewed shortly after its debut. However, new episodes aren't expected until April 2027. How typical of HBO. In an interview with Deadline, Tierney addressed expectations around adapting more from the book series, saying, quote, "Who said I'm doing it all? There's a lot of material," end quote. The comment has sparked speculation that future storylines should be split across multiple seasons. Meanwhile, author Rachel Reed confirmed her upcoming book, Unrivaled, continuing Shane and Ilya's story, which has been delayed till June 2027 due to health challenges and the show's success. Well, it's nice to hear that this show takes as many years as like Game of Thrones and everything else on Netflix.
No.
Can we have a season every year for one show, just one show, something?
Well, I mean, for one thing, the show debuted basically at the very tail end. I mean, it's only 6 episodes. By the way, it's a Canadian show. HBO has nothing to do with it except to distribute it. And so even if it is 1 year, so we are even that is true, we'll still have to wait until basically Thanksgiving.
So what you're saying is don't blame HBO, blame Canada?
Yes. And secondly, specifically the Canadian platform Crave. But secondly, there's, I believe that's, according to what I read, because I'm a fan of the show and I read the books, is that they are going to split the second book about Shane and Ilya into 2 seasons. So that was book 6. Rachel's working on book 7. But she has Parkinson's disease, and therefore some of the things have been delayed. And also third, right now the actors playing Shane and Ilya are of extreme demand. They have been brought up everywhere. They're filming movies. Connor Story just did a 5-minute long Verizon commercial showcasing his ass.
Rex and Larry, any comments before we close out?
This is pretty typical of most shows.
No, but it was great seeing the 2 main characters on SNL recently. So
yeah.
A treat.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to see that she'll at least get her book out before the winds of winter.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up entertainment. Reza Farhan reveals past relationship with TV host Bob Harper. Reality TV personality Reza Farhan, known as for his Shaws of Sunset and the Valley, Persian style, is making headlines with new claims about his past relationship with the fitness trainer and the Biggest Loser host, Bob Harper. In his newly released memoir, Memoirs of a Gay Shah, this my story of family fame and becoming a king, Farhan alleges a year-long friends with benefits relationship with Harper that later evolved into a threesome after Harper married a man named Scott. Farhan says the situation became emotionally complex. However, he notes, quote, "We remain friends to this day." Well, how nice. Well, it's part of the adventure of life. And, it's great. I think it's great that he has a new story coming out and he can continue being in the limelight in his own way. So.
No, I think this is wonderful. I just want to thank the whole cast and the producers here for explaining to me the difference between like Jujubee's version of Memoirs of a Geisha versus this memoirs of a gay shot. I was like, I am so confused. Are they just stealing Jujubee's bit? No, it's a very different, it's a whole different letter is in there, kids, so you can Google it.
And I think that, reality start writing a book. Nothing new there, but I hope that he actually talked to the other guy first before naming him in the news article.
Yeah, well, and I also want to say with, what's going on in places like Iran with their relationships with LGBT people, it's nice to see someone who came here, I believe, as a 4-year-old boy, make it and be out and proud. So we need to support that.
Actually, to be correct, I just want to be correct, Ben. Sorry to be pedantic, but actually LGBT people, because in Iran, trans person are very, very supported. Actually, they have Iran has one of the best transition procedures in the world. The problem is that they can't stand gay people or any kind of same-sex relationship.
Well, that's an interesting.
Well, can we really trust anything we know about Iran at this point? We all thought they couldn't handle the U.S. military, and now look at that.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up drag culture. Trixie Mattel said no to the trailers 4 times, but said yes to a fictional version. American director, writer, and producer Michael Patrick King shared it during the interview on the Talk of the Tanksons podcast. He said that Trixie was their dream pick for a scripted take of the show in The Comeback. Her answer this time was immediate thanks to her love for Valerie Cherish, played by Lisa Kudrow. Trixie even cancelled birthday vacation plans to film the cameo. Several RuPaul's Drag Race stars, including Peppermint and Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange, have appeared on the US version of the trailers. Well, I have not seen the show.
Oh, I love it.
I understand that it is like you have someone who is buried inside the ranks as traitors, and then and they scheme, and they're perfect for drag queens with the drama. Perfect.
Yes. The funny thing is not a drag queen has won yet. And there have been drag queen traitors. Yeah, the game premise is, if you ever played Werewolf, where it's very similar. You have 2 people or 3 people who are traitors, and the rest are village people, and they have to find the traitors and vote them off, and they keep voting people off until...
I understand the sets are gorgeous.
The sets are gorgeous. But yes, no. I think Trixie did the right thing by doing the parody show, because that fits much more her aesthetic and her personality.
I remember to come back. That was an old show, isn't it? I remember talking about it years ago. Lisa Kudrow and...
This is all very hard to keep straight, thank God. And I will say, I do think the reason why we haven't seen a drag queen win yet is because the Boulet brothers haven't gone on yet. I don't know how this show works, but everyone's going to wind up dead but them.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Tom Daley stuns in Speedo in his Mexico vacation photos, which are now going viral. Tom Daley is living his best life. The Olympian, known for his athleticism and physique, is turning heads once again, this time off the diving board. Between fatherhood, hosting a TV show, and global travel, Daley shared glimpses of his sunny getaway on Instagram. The images quickly went viral, with fans praising his physique and related vacation vibe. I mean, let the boy live his best life. I mean, we all post stuff on social media, and we all look at each other's social media and want to talk about it. And so here's someone who obviously has a nice body. He works for it, and he's an Olympian and should be proud of it. If I had a 12-pack, I'd be proud of it too. Go on with your bad self.
I just want to say to Queer News Tonight, thank you, because I was a little concerned with the cover not having a shirtless man. Like, how are we gonna land the plane tonight? And boom, you landed the plane tonight with such a hot shirtless man. Good job.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, happening on television network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Rex Rogosch, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Alex Morash, Larry Farver, and Dr. Bobby Huen. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you a good night.
Night.